I have come on this vlog before and I have done a video about things that I do not like in Ghana, and now that I live in Ghana, I have come to realize that I was wrong about certain things and my perception about certain things has changed, and this video is just to do an update of how my perception has changed. So if you want to know some of the things that I have learned to accept and change my mind on, stick around to find out. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the vlog. My name is Ndiro Ganga, new hair hoodies. I even tried to lay ages for you guys so that I can look good while coming on here. Now, if you know me from my Kenya days, then you know this is a lot of effort. So for this effort, do me a favor. Click the subscribe button if you haven't, and click the like button if you're a returning subscriber, because it goes a long way for the video. Let me start by saying that I am not an egocentric person. So if I don't know, I don't know. If I know, I know. And also, I am always very open to learning. It's the genius of education. You learn every day, you learn from everybody, and you also unlearn. Sometimes you think you know, or sometimes what you know reflects your current situation, your current knowledge level. And because you're constantly learning, some things change and you have to unlearn some things and let go of some things. And I feel like that's the space that I've been at now. A couple of months ago, that's an aeroplane. Anyway, a couple of months ago, I came out here and I did a video about some of the things that I did not necessarily like about Ghana. And I want to clarify some of those things because my perception has very largely changed about these things, because I feel like previously, because I never used to live here, so certain things, because they're culturally different and you've not been cultured like that, they shock your system. And immediately they shock your system, the first thing that you do, because we are never like embracing change with open arms, your system sort of rejects it, not because it's a bad thing, but because it's just not used to it. So let's get into the details. Number one, food. Guys, I was struggling. If I tell you I was struggling, I'm not lying. Eating Ghanaian food had been a big challenge, particularly because of the pepper, which is called pepper here. Every time I'd eat, I'd have to go to the hospital because my whole face was on fire. I remember there was a day I was shooting and we had to stop the shoot with a lady so that I could go to a chemist and just get soothing balm to apply to my face because it was on fire. And when I'd go to the hospital, like, people would laugh at me and say, Oyibo, Obroni, petty. And I'm just like, guys, like, my system is not used to this, and it made me sort of resent it because people were making fun of me and my system was having a really difficult time, like, getting acclimatized to the pepper. In Kenya, we don't use a lot of pepper, and I come from a family where we cook with pepper, like, so my system was just having a difficult time. And I think coupled with all the stress and the emotion of moving, then you start thinking these are the things that are making your life difficult, but in essence they're not. Your body is just trying to acclimatize. The other thing was adding eggs to food, and I was like, hey, we don't eat like this where I come from, but this is not where I come from, this is where they come from. And they've been eating eggs and they're alive and they're fine. And then things began to gradually change, like my body began getting used to the pepper, and now I find the food like flavorful. Initially I couldn't eat shito, but now when I go to buy food, I'm like, add shito, and it adds like great flavor and you feel alive, like you're eating, you feel alive. So my perception on the food has greatly changed. On fufu, I had a problem dipping the fufu in the soup because that's not necessarily how we eat, but I'm not at home, I'm living with people, and part of living with people is being open to embrace who they are and their culture. Am I comfortable to eat in the same plate with somebody, fufu yet? No. But do I take my fufu and dip it in the soup? Yes, because when you dip it in the soup, it just slaps a different way. Like eating fufu separately and eating soup separately is not the same as when you dip it. Like it's nice. And even like the egg, these days I go to buy, like, I've eaten the egg with contomere, yeah, and I liked it. Like, they put the boiled egg on the side and then you eat contomere and yam, and it's really nice. I felt like if I just realized that now this is my life, and you have to be more open-minded. And when you open your mind, then you begin to realize that it's just your body that was playing games on you so that you don't adapt and you go back to what you're used to. But when you start, like when you approach it with an open mind, then it becomes really, really easy, and you start adapting to it. So that has been really interesting, though I found it slightly difficult eating the boiled egg. There was a day I bought fried rice, and I think because of the vegetable, it gives it a sweet undertone, so eating the boiled egg was difficult. And now also, like, I have become like addicted to boiled eggs. You know, the ones they boil, I think with salt, it has white on the outside, and then they put the red pepper. I don't like the green pepper, the red pepper, it's so delicious. So my perception on food has greatly changed, and even the way like Ghanaians mix meat with different foods, like you'll eat meat and beans, meat and fish. I've eaten meat and fish before and I was shocked, but in as much as I was shocked, because it's not something that we do, I liked it. Now I'm addicted to red. Like, I like beans and meat, and I know it's such an unorthodox combination when you think about it, particularly if you're not Ghanaian, but let me tell you, if you eat it, say, with fried plantain or kelewele, guys, is the real deal. So all the things that I said, I was wrong about food, and now I'm beginning to see it from your perspective, that this is your culture, that the food is really delicious, highly nutritious, because like when I'm eating contomere, it's just a boiled yam, and I don't know, I just feel like it's the healthier options. Yeah, and I'm just like getting used to it in a really amazing way. The other thing that I felt like I had a problem with, and now it's not much of a problem, is the sense of communism. Now, in Nairobi, nobody bothers with their neighbor mostly, yeah? So it's just, you live your life, but here people greet each other, people care. And I was just like, why are you in my business? Like, why are you in my business? I was telling a friend, like, I saw a certain lady in the morning. She said, good morning. I said, good morning, how are you doing? Fine. And then like 3 hours later in the afternoon, I saw her, and then she was like, good afternoon. I'm like, yo, I spoke to you 3 hours ago. Why are you greeting me again? But then I came to realize that there's a huge sense of communism here. Like, you always watch out for your neighbor. You want your neighbor to be okay. You're constantly checking up on them. You know, like, because I live alone, like, initially I'd find it very intrusive, because I never understood. Like, my neighbors would be, are you okay? Have you eaten? Where are you going to? For me, I used to find these things intrusive, but for them, they would see a foreigner who was living alone, far from home, and they just knew that that support system was so important. The instances where my neighbors have cooked and just come and knocked at my door and given me food, and I tell you, those were some of the most difficult days in my life. Like, I would just like be in the house, because some days I really struggle with certain things. And when someone just knocks on your door with a plate of food, or just to even say, hey, I haven't seen you today, I wanted to know if you're okay, it means a lot. It goes a long way. You feel like you're seen, you feel like you're not alone. I mean, initially when I wouldn't talk to people, I'd get lost so much and I'd get taken advantage of. But this is like, sometimes I will ask somebody, like, where's such and such a place? And they'll be like, you don't even need to take an Uber, just walk, it's 3 minutes or 5 minutes away. So for that, I was really wrong, and it's because of what I had gotten used to. Because in Nairobi, it's just every man for themselves, but here, people care. People honestly care, and I've learned not to give like the technical answers. When somebody asks you, how are you, they truly want to know how you're doing. So these days, if I'm not okay, I'm just going to say I'm not okay, because people genuinely are interested in your well-being. The other thing that I sort of raised concern about was language. Now, if you're a foreigner, I swear to God, you'll feel like a foreigner, because the moment two Ghanaians meet, the first thing they do is they switch to their native language. And sometimes I'm in school now, and sometimes even the teachers do it in school here, like, and you're like, I have to ask my neighbor, what is it? Particularly sometimes when they're trying to make jokes, it's said in their native language, and then once everybody's done laughing, I have to ask my desk mate, what did he say? And initially it was slightly an inconvenience, because sometimes they're like, we're in a professional setting. But again, I came to realize, I just sat myself down and I said, how many times in Nairobi do you guys speak Swahili? You think that people should communicate in a language that you understand because you want to have a conversation. But remember that these people have a way of living. There's a way and also there's a way gist just doesn't hit in English. To be honest, gist doesn't hit in English. There are times I'm always trying to tell Benjamin a joke or my other friends, and then I'm like, just forget it, because I have to translate it to English and it's not going to be the same. And I realized that back at home we speak Swahili, here you guys speak Twi, so it's one and the same. Even in France, you go to France, they speak French, and then it's courtesy if they speak English to you. And that perspective is gradually changing. I was with a friend from Cape Verde, and Cape Verdeans speak Portuguese. That's their official language. But he could speak a little bit of English. And I was so happy that we could communicate. And he kept saying, I'm so sorry, my English is not good. And I'm like, what? Portuguese is your first language, so I should be apologizing that I am unable to speak Portuguese. If you learned a second language, just to ensure that you can communicate with other people, then you're the better person here. So I think my perception on language has changed. Though, in professional meetings, let us limit it a little bit, but outside and people speaking their language, I mean, they have every right to. This is their home. That's the language that they know. The other thing I raise concern about is Ghana man time. This one just sticks, by the way. There's no change of perception. I think I'm more tolerant now. With my friends, I'm more tolerant. It doesn't whack me up as much as it used to. Though it's slightly annoying. There was a time when Kedi kept me waiting for 5 hours. 5 hours. The next time she kept me waiting for 3 hours. So at least we're making progress. I think now with my Ghanaian friends is, before I leave the house, I'll call you and say, hey, are we still meeting at such and such a time? So when you leave the house is when I'm leaving the house, so that I don't end up waiting for so many hours. And it's not just friends, even in business, people do it, and someone will just shine their teeth and tell you, I didn't know there was traffic. So these days of business, I tell my clients, I'll be there 30 minutes earlier to wait for you. It's sort of your grace period. So if you leave your house earlier and get there earlier, the better we finish business quickly. If you're late, if we were to start our meeting at 2 to 3 p.m., I'll start immediately 2 p.m. hits, I'll start counting your time. If it's 3, if you get there at 2:30, we'll meet until 3. There's no extending it to 3:30 unless you're paying me for the extra 30 minutes. And let me tell you, immediately I told my clients that the level of discipline went up. People get there on time. And the one time that a client was 45 minutes late, we did the meeting for 15 minutes, and I said, that's all your time. And I said, but no. I said, unless you're paying me for every extra minute that I'll be here, then, well, because it was important for them, they had to pay. But ever since that day, the PA told me, he specifically told the PA that anytime we're meeting on Dero, please remind me 2 hours earlier so we can get there on time. For time is slightly tricky, but now I've found ways of working around it. I think I've spoken a lot. I try to keep my videos short. I don't like the 30 minutes videos. But all in all, I feel like when I came to Ghana, previously when I came, I was sort of on this high horse. And again, when you're visiting a place because you're going to go back home, it's easier for the disadvantages to stand out because you're just there for a short while and you go back home. When you're living at a place, you have to cultivate a culture of tolerance, and you cannot go about your life seeing the negative in people. When you start seeing the positive in people and the positive in things, then things gradually begin to soften and ease up. And I feel like when I came, there was just a lot of emotional baggage and a lot of emotional tension, and I was a wreck. In as much as I was trying to save myself and put myself together, a lot was going on. And I feel like now I'm at a more calm place and I can look at things in a slightly objective manner, and that helps me a lot in terms of seeing where I was wrong, and maybe my perception on all the other things might change. Maybe my perception on housing might change. Maybe my perception on leadership might change. Maybe my perception on government services might change, which I also did a separate video on. I'm trying to process my permits with immigration. I'll come here and tell you. And I'll be very honest, if my experience is good, you've seen me come here and say I was wrong. So if my experience is good, I'm not going to come here and say, oh, I didn't like it. I'm not that kind of person. If I have a smooth experience with immigration, I'll come here and I'll give them a thumbs up, and I'll even like tell you whoever served me, so that it make people understand the true picture of a place. Sometimes it's just not the negative. Sometimes if good things are happening at a place, then you applaud it. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if anything resonated with you, please let me know. And also guys, I've been doing this amazing entrepreneurship series every Monday. I look for amazing young Ghanaians that are doing great things, and I tell their story. Please show them love. They're the future of Ghana. They're the people who will change this country, are changing this country. And we've already done season 1. So we are prepping for season 2, and I hope you guys are as excited. I want to say thank you for the love that you show me, the kindness that you show me on the comment sections, and some of you even go ahead and call out the bullies who try to bully me, and I don't take that for granted. I'll see you in the next vlog.